Okay, so if you're just going to remain agnostic and not have a conversation with me about the nuances of it, I'm going to move on to the next guest. I find this to be like a rather
strange debate tactic where you just kind of like muddy the waters, say words, don't hold any conclusions, so there's nothing to debate. Like, I'm so sorry, man. Like, I'm trying to debate you right now. I mean, let's debate why you do or you don't support mass amnesty, you do or you don't support mass deportation. Like, let's
I came in here to talk about mass deportation.
Okay, so do you think mass deportation is a good policy?
I think we need to get people that should not be here out, or
that's not what I asked you. Do you think that mass deportation is a good policy?
Yes.
Okay, so would you agree that, like, ideologically speaking, conceptually speaking, a good policy is one that produces more good outcomes than bad outcomes, right?
I mean, there's more. Sure. Yeah, we can go with that.
There's not more to it. Conceptually speaking, that's all there is to it. Good policy is one that that produces more good outcomes than bad outcomes. And a bad policy is one that produces more bad outcomes than good outcomes. So would you agree that it would be your goal to demonstrate that it produces a lot of good outcomes, and it would be my goal to demonstrate that it produces a lot of bad outcomes, right?
There's pros and cons to everything. I think there would be more good outcomes.
Yeah, so it's your goal to demonstrate that there's more good than bad, and it's my goal to demonstrate that there's more bad than good, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll start by naming off the bad outcomes, and then you'll move on to the good outcomes, and we'll see who comes out on top, okay? You're not in the live. Nobody can hear you. Let me know when you're back.
I am back. I've never been in a TikTok live. I apologize.
So I'll start off by naming the bad outcomes, and you'll name the good outcomes, and we'll see who comes out on top. So a lot of the bad outcomes are economic and humanitarian. We'll go over them both. One of those bad outcomes is going to be a annual reduction in our GDP upwards of 1.1 trillion through 1.7 trillion dollars per year. That figure is being pulled from the Center on American Progress. That accounts for their $300 billion per year direct contribution, the productivity that is generated inside of our manufacturing/labor force, as well as the provided value to the GDP that is extracted off their work by their employer. That's a really bad outcome, significant reduction in our GDP. Another bad outcome is going to be disenfranchising our manufacturers and making them less productive in the goods that they manufacture. That's a no-brainer. Obviously, when we're going to do a forced layoff of 8.3 million laborers, that's what's going to happen. They're going to get less productive and make less goods. A third bad outcome is going to be a reduction in the size of our consumer base, which then creates a lower level of demand for American-produced goods, which then would lead to the conclusion that we're going to have less American-produced goods. So that's also a no-brainer. There's 12 million undocumented consumers on the demand side of our economy. Removing them all is terrible. A fourth really bad outcome is kind of like consequential for these three prior facts, which is more crime. Because when we have like a worse economy with slower GDP growth, less people buying goods, less people producing goods, we're going to have higher levels of poverty, which is kind of a given. And because a lot of crime is a result of poverty, when we have higher levels of poverty, we'll also have more crime. So that's going to be your fourth and your fifth negative outcome of mass deportation. Now, the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, etc., there are typically going to be more humanitarian concerns related to, I don't know, illegally deporting people to get beaten and tortured in CICA in El Salvador for 3 weeks, holding people in detention centers for 3 months with no reason, even though they're valid green card holders, disenfranchising families and sending people to Alligator Alcatraz in Florida to eat one meal a day, some of those meals having maggots in them. So there's around like 7 or 8 or 9 really bad outcomes of mass deportation. If you want to go ahead and turn around and tell me what the good outcomes are, I'll listen. You got my ears. Just make sure that you're specific, the same way I was very specific with what the bad outcomes are.
Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and say I could confidently name 9 just off the dome without doing any research. However, I will say pretty confidently a huge factor, and I'm sure you've heard this debate before, more jobs for Americans. I solidly believe that would be a good outcome, and I don't see how in any way you'd be against that, right?
But think about it. Literally think about it. Dude, if Intel laid off 50,000 employees, there'd be more open job opportunities for Americans. Does that mean that Intel laying off 50,000 employees is a good idea?
I'm not going to sit here and say there wouldn't be some sort of bump there. Definitely a lot of cons, but I think overall, on the long run, it is more beneficial to have American citizens working jobs. You're not
answering my question.
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't. I asked you if Intel laid off 50,000 employees right now, there'd be 50,000 additional open job opportunities for Americans. If Intel did that, would it be good?
I said there would be cons. So
it would be bad if Intel did that. Yes. So like the undocumented immigrants losing these jobs is bad, right?
It's not just a good or bad. There's going to be bad and there's going to be, you try to make everything black and white, and I don't like that.
Are you saying that there's a good outcome produced in the long term from this? What is it?
If 50,000 people who are not legally supposed to be here lost their jobs, and 50,000 Americans got jobs, that would be a good side effect of that, right?
So you think that Americans are going to fill the shoes that are left by every undocumented immigrant in the workforce right now? How many undocumented immigrants are working?
A lot. I don't have a specific number, but I'm sure an absolute lot.
8.3 million. How many open job opportunities already exist?
Probably a lot.
8 million. So if Americans can't fill the 8 million open job opportunities that already exist, what makes you think they'll be able to fill the 8.3 million that would open via mass deportation?
Super funny you mentioned that. I'm going to use a personal example here. So there's plenty of open jobs. Sure, I could go get a job at McDonald's right now. I guarantee it. However, all these good jobs, like I'll be a little specific. I work with a train company, and jobs like that don't just come and go. There's a lot of people there that's just a lot of open job opportunities for a good job. Yeah, you can go get a job at McDonald's whenever you want. That's an open job. So when you put a whole list of open American jobs, you're going to get jobs like McDonald's. I don't feel like that's a good argument.
Okay, just like if we were to... I'm sorry, I don't even understand your argument. I need to get clarification on that. What is your argument here?
Okay, you just said there was how many open jobs in America right now?
8 million already?
You just gave me a number. 8 million. So we're counting every single job, right? We're not blending in just like a mix of good jobs only, right?
I'm
Like
just telling you how many open job opportunities there are. There's 8 million open job
Okay,
opportunities.
exactly, right? So I can go get a job at like a country club right now and make $9 an hour. I'm not going to be able to live and provide for a family.
Open job opportunities.
Okay, yeah. So it'd be a lot more beneficial for me to get a good job. And for instance, a lot of illegal immigrants.
So are you saying that
jobs.
like the jobs that undocumented immigrants work are like of a higher quality than the jobs that are open?
I personally think so. Yes.
Okay, what makes you think that? Because they're actually limited into working lower quality jobs due to the fact that they're undocumented immigrants, don't have don't have an SSN, and are easier to be exploited by their employers because they don't have residency or citizenship.
I just don't. All right. So okay, we'll dig into that right now.
I have a question. Do you think that unions help you get better jobs?
I've worked a union job. I personally didn't like it. Are you saying, does it provide a better job? Is that a better job than a normal job?
Can unions help you get better jobs with better benefits, with better pay than if the union didn't exist?
I'm not sure. I don't know a lot about unions. I'm not gonna.
The answer to the question would be yes. Okay, why is the answer to that question yes? Because unions can provide you more bargaining power held against your employee, right? Against your employer, right?
Okay, yeah, I agree.
So in other words, the more bargaining power, the better job you could get. Who has more bargaining power, citizens or undocumented immigrants?
Citizens.
Right, so therefore we'd expect on average undocumented immigrants to have lower quality jobs on average compared to citizens.
Okay, so I don't have a computer in front of me, but if I need to, I can get one. Would you agree or disagree that illegal immigrants are typically working a labor job? Is that something you would?
I don't know if I would say that like 50% of or more of undocumented immigrants are working labor jobs. Are like in like particular labor fields. Are undocumented immigrants disproportionately likely to work? Yes, like 1 out of every 7 construction workers is an undocumented immigrant.
Okay, so I feel like Americans would benefit more from getting jobs like that aren't open because they're able to even slightly underpay an illegal, right?
Because they have less bargaining power, right?
Yeah. So again,
in other words, you're telling me if we offered the undocumented immigrants a pathway to residency or citizenship, then they'd have the same amount of bargaining powers as residents or citizens because they are residents or citizens. And then without any change in their material conditions, they get paid more on average, meaning that GDP per capita would go up and their contributions to the GDP would go up. And because they're naturalized and can seek benefits from our federal government, their contribution in taxable revenue would go up. So then our country gets materially better without a single change apart from offering undocumented immigrants a pathway to residency or citizenship.
I just want to go in on that. So you're saying if they were legal now, right?
Right. Offering them the pathway to residency or citizenship. Yes.
So you would get all that benefits from them being a legal citizen rather than illegal. Because my whole argument is that we do not need a legal citizenship. Okay, so we're on the same page about the pathway to have what's it called again?
No, we're not on the same page of mass amnesty. You disagree with it because you support mass deportation.
So I can't support mass deportation, and just due to that, I can't think there should be a pathway like to become a citizen. I don't understand.
Yes. Because you support mass deportation, you cannot support mass amnesty.
I don't understand that entirely because...
Oh, it's because mass deportation is removing undocumented immigrants from the country. Mass amnesty is allowing them to stay in the country and become a resident or citizen.
So what I said specifically, if we go back, is I think there should 100% be a way for an illegal immigrant to become a legal citizen the right way. I don't think you should be just brutally forced out of the country. And I understand that.
So is mass amnesty the right way or the wrong way?
See, I don't want to give it a label because I'm not entirely educated on that. I'm
Okay. I'm going to explain it to you this one last time. Here's everything that you need to know about mass amnesty. Okay, it is offering undocumented immigrants, right? A, the ability to stay in this country, and B, if they're offered the ability to stay in this country, they must be seeking a pathway to residency or citizenship. And C, our government would be offering that pathway to residency or citizenship. There will be a handful of undocumented immigrants that shouldn't be offered this pathway with the ability to stay in the country, such as undocumented immigrants with prior violent offenses, such as undocumented immigrants with particular outstanding warrants from other countries, such as undocumented immigrants with pretty crazy non-violent criminal offenses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those individuals would be deported or put in jail, right, for their crimes, obviously. So now that we understand what mass amnesty is, do you think that is a good way to naturalize undocumented immigrants, or a bad way to naturalize undocumented immigrants?
I think 100%, and I'm going to go back and say it. I think 100% there should be a way.
You're not answering my question. I asked you if mass amnesty was good or bad.
So based off of what you're telling me, if there is proper documentation and there's not just a get out of jail free card where, oh, you've been here for 20 years illegally, there's not going to be any consequences for that. You're now a legal citizen. Hooray.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay, so as long as there's proper work and authority there, like proper law, I don't see a problem with that, no.
Okay, so you do support mass amnesty?
Based off of what you're telling me, yes. Does that mean I think we should just let people swim over the border?
So therefore, we're actually not talking about border policy right now. We're talking about what to do with the undocumented immigrants.
They tie into each other, but sure.
They actually don't tie into each other in this sense, no.
So you're going to tell me right now that people illegally coming into the country doesn't cause illegal citizens to be here that are getting mass deported? That doesn't tie into each other at all?
I'm telling you the conversation of what to do with the undocumented immigrants that are in this country is completely distinct and separate from a conversation of what to do to prevent further undocumented entry. No. Right, so now that we understand that as a fact, I'll go back. So you just told us that you do indeed support mass amnesty, so therefore you don't support mass deportation, and you've now conceded the totality of your argument.
I mean, not really, but if that's the way you want to try to make it look. So
bro,
again,
I'm gonna go over this with you one last time, okay? Is removing an undocumented immigrant from this country diametrically opposed to allowing them to stay in the country?
A lot of them are here illegally, right?
No, you're not answering my question. It's removing an undocumented immigrant from this country diametrically opposed from allowing them to stay in the country and become a citizen. Yes or no?
You're giving them a pathway, though. That's not just a yes or no. See, you always make things black and white. I've seen you debate so many people.
And this is black and white. This right now completely is. It is totally black and white. Is removing an undocumented immigrant from this country diametrically opposed, distinct, and contradictory to allowing an undocumented immigrant to stay in this country while seeking a pathway to residency or citizenship? Are those two things completely separate?
I don't think they're contradictory. I think there's a correction there where, you did something wrong.
What is a contradiction? What is a contradiction?
A contradiction is something that completely opposes something that is completely against it. So if I went left, you went right. That's not what this is.
If I am deported from the country, you're allowed to stay in the country and become a citizen. If I went left, you went right.
Yeah, but there's so much more to that. There's not just a, hey, do you want to stay in this country or do you want to go back to your country? There's so much.
Okay, what is the additional context that is required that I am required to understand in order to come to the same conclusion that you have, that mass deportation is not directly contradictory to mass amnesty?
I think damn, I really suck at saying that word. I think that would be a good course of action.
I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you that. I really didn't ask you that. I asked you, what is the additional context that I have to understand to recognize the same conclusion that you have, that mass deportation is not separate, contradictory, and apart from mass amnesty?
See, I don't know. I've tried to explain it to you multiple times, and you're not picking up on it. So
what have you tried to explain? Re-explain it again. What context do I need to understand? Oh, well, that's not an explanation. That's a claim. I'm asking you for the explanation for the claim.
It's like right there. How am I supposed to go into that?
You're saying that they're not contradictory because they're not contradictory?
That's like looking at a color. Oh, that's blue. Tell me it's not blue. How do you want me to tell you that's not blue? Just like think. For a
Wait,
minute.
so are you just saying that it's intuitively obvious that mass deportation is not contradictory to mass amnesty? I've never heard a worse argument ever before. And by the way, if you want an explanation that something is blue, you would like look at the UV rays in which you would emit, and then you'd compare and contrast that to the UV rays in which are typically emitted by what we understand and colloquially acknowledge as blue on like a UV spectrum.
Okay, how about this? It's
Right,
a proper
so we can
way
explain
that
these things.
Mass deportation could be handled. That doesn't mean it's a contradictory.
Wait, so you think that mass amnesty is a way to do mass deportation?
I think it's a way to get less people in this country illegally, because my whole issue is not that they're here, it's that they're here
Also,
illegally.
electromagnetic waves, not UV. Okay. Can any... Okay. So you still haven't offered an explanation. I'm going to give you one last attempt to explain yourself before I kick you. Because right now you're just being disingenuous.
Okay.
Like you're being incredibly disingenuous. You have no clue what you're fucking saying. Because you're still trying to argue that mass deportation is not separate and contradictory from mass amnesty. So explain to me why. One last time, just stop being dense. You were one of the most dense guests I've had up in a while.
It's a correction. It's not a contradictory.
What?
Oh, hey, you're here illegally. It's more of an option. It's not, we're just going to kick you out. There's a pathway there. You're saying, but it's either we deport them or we do this. No,
mass deportation is their removal.
Yes, mass deportation is getting somebody out of this country that does not need to be here.
Okay, so would you say that the removal of undocumented immigrants is a necessary factor of mass deportation?
The reason I support mass deportation...
That's not what I asked you. Would you say that the removal of undocumented immigrants is a necessary factor of mass deportation?
There we go. Back to the black and white.
This is
mass
black and white.
Deportation, yes, you have to remove some people because not everybody needs to be here. There's
so the removal
that have committed crimes.
So the mass removal of undocumented immigrants from this country is a necessary factor of mass deportation, right?
You have to remove people.
I'm not asking you. I'm asking you if that is a necessary factor of mass deportation. Is the mass removal of undocumented immigrants from this country a necessary factor of mass deportation? Yes or no?
All right, we'll play your game. Yes.
Oh, you think that answering questions is playing a game? Holy shit.
No, you make everything black and white.
Because that's literally how the words are defined.
Saying it.
Dude, it's because it is black and white. Because that's how we define the words. What does the word mass mean?
That's not what we're talking about. You're saying that
yes, it is what we're talking about. Because you're
not.
telling me that I'm just not being like contrast enough and making everything black and white. Dude, we have to be able to like have a common understanding of what words mean. You're calling a common understanding of what words means like black and white. Sometimes it is, okay? Right? And I'm going to explain to you this concept right now. What does the word mass mean?
Large.
Large? And what does the word deportation mean?
Deportation, like leaving.
Removal.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just told me that mass means large and deportation means removal. Okay. So when I ask you, right, if the mass removal of undocumented immigrants from this country is a necessary factor of mass deportation, and you can't answer the question, and you're saying that it's too black and white, well, look at that. We just had you define the words mass and deportation. You said large removal, so it looks like I was right. It is necessary that we would be deporting and removing a lot of undocumented immigrants from this country in order to qualify a mass deportation, because that's literally what the words mass and deportation mean. See, if we're not doing a mass removal of undocumented immigrants from this country, we're not doing a mass deportation, because the words mass deportation literally mean mass removal. Right? So do you see how in this sense it is black and white?
I get what you mean. Yes. But in that sense, you're suggesting that I want every single one of them removed, the whole mass. And that's just not true. That's
the policy of the Trump administration.
The Trump administration wants them all removed, and I told you from the get-go that I don't stand by everything that Trump does. I just think illegal immigration needs to be handled.
We've literally been having a debate about why you support Trump, and it's because you said you support his mass deportation.
Yeah, off the rip, I actually said I don't stand by everything that Trump does, but I do think that illegal
but
immigrants
I
shouldn't be
understand
able
that
to
you
keep
said
coming
that
over
you don't
here.
understand that you don't stand by everything that Trump does. So that's why I asked you what is something Trump is doing that you stand by, and you said mass deportation.
I like. Okay, so I people are framing it as a bad thing that illegal immigrants are being removed. Right? Is that not something we can agree on? Do
Right.
you think it's a
Like,
bad thing?
do you think Donald Trump's mass deportation is bad or good?
I think it's removing people that shouldn't be here.
That's
So
not what I asked.
yeah.
Is it bad or good?
It has benefits. It has pros and cons, dude. I'm not gonna sit here and say everything about it is peachy.
So do you overall support it, or do you overall not support it?
I like it all over the alternative of doing absolutely nothing.
Okay, dude, you're not even fucking answering my questions, man. Is there like, I'm asking you if this policy is overall good or bad? What is your response?
It's not perfect. I like it a lot more than what.
Dude, if you can't even tell me, if you can't even tell me that it's a good policy, we can't debate. Listen, I think that a lot of people do this when they join my live stream. You are so scared of even affirming a claim because you think that I'll be able to prove it wrong that you don't even affirm claims. Okay? But you have to be able to like affirm claims in order to debate me. If you're not going to give an opinion, what am I supposed to be debating against? If you're not going to give a claim, what am I supposed to be debating against? I'm going to need you to make a claim here. Trump's mass deportation. Is it an overall good policy or is it an overall bad policy?
I like it. Is that simple?
What does that mean? Is it an overall good policy because you like it? Is that the implication I should yield here? We need to be specific.
Yes, I think it has more good than bad from what I said. But
Okay.
you keep making me try
Okay.
to say it's all good, and I'm not
Okay.
going to say that.
Okay, I'm not
gonna
trying
say
to
that
make
there
you
is
say
peachy.
anything. I'm just trying to make you say how you feel.
I think 110% it is a good idea to remove people that came to this country illegally when there's people that worked their ass off to get here legally
Okay.
and jump through
So
hoops.
I've already explained how this is not unfair. Okay. The only people slapping legal immigrants in the face is going to be our government for neglecting the legal means of entry into this country for all of modern American history because they want the issue of undocumented immigration into this country to persist, to exist because of an unattainability of legal means of entry into this country, or also have nothing to run on to convince their base that they should support them. All right. Also, you can't say that it's unfair to legal immigrants to be offering them a better country once they're in the country because undocumented immigrants make this country better. Right? Would you prefer legal immigrants to have a better country to walk into or a worse country to walk into? Because with mass deportation, the country is worse. Without mass deportation, the country is better. You're telling me that it's unfair to give legal immigrants better material conditions once they're already in the country. Do you see how absurd that is to say?
Well, okay, and here's the thing. So you're affecting the lives of others when you come here illegally. Like, you're pulling sources from other people. You're sitting here saying that illegal immigrants have a more hazardous life and can't get resources they need. So, okay, let me ask you this. Why are people coming here illegally?
Because the legal means of entry into this country are unattainable.
Why? Like, why are these people coming to America illegally? Why are they coming here?
I
Why
just
are
told
they
you
not-
that is the main incentive for undocumented entry. It's because the legal means of entry are unattainable.
I understand that. What is the motive? Why would
That is the
somebody
motive.
come over here?
That the motive for undocumented entry is because of how unattainable the legal means of entry are. That is the motivation for undocumented entry.
So you're saying people just like don't become legal because it's too hard to become legal is what you're saying?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, I'm completely open. Is there any like proof you have behind that? Like, I'm genuinely curious. I just want to hear what you have to say. Not even trying to be rude.
Yeah, the fact
why
that it
is
takes
it-
20
why is it hard?
through 25 years to become a citizen.
There's 25 years. So there's people that have come here.
If you're in
legally that
Mexico,
are
if you're in Mexico
125.
and you don't have any family in America and you want to become a citizen, it'll take you 20 years.
I just find that hard to believe. If you could pull a source that says, "Hey, it takes 25 years to come here," I would absolutely love that.
Sure.
And I'll say it right here, right now. I mean,
Are you saying
I
that
just-
the legal means of entry into this country are good?
I never, man. I don't like giving straight answers because I know you're more educated than me. I don't special in politics, but I think they could be better. I don't think they're terrible as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
There's always room for improvement.
Yeah, everyone, just give us a minute here.
Yeah, I'd absolutely love to see where it says, yeah, it takes you 25 years to come over to America. I'm sure there's been like some instance out there that was really messed up where that happened. I don't think that's an actual written thing that says, hey, it takes 25 years.
Well, it's not written. That's just how long the current process can take for Mini.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right. Can't lie.
How long do you think it takes while I look for this?
25 years, that's really pushing it. I was more betting on around 2 at tops.
I mean,
Two to 5.
Even like 2 is too long.
That is a lot. I'm not going to sit here and say it's perfect. It's a lot better than 25.
Okay, so yeah, the first source I'm going to give you is coming from, let's see here. I believe this is coming from Boundless Immigration. So this is specifically going to be for green card holders. Let's see here. Sorry, I haven't like done this research and given you my sources for a while. So on average, at the most, on average, it could take around 15 months to have your claim for a green card processed. But now when you compile that with the fact that we have around 10 to 11 immigrants backlogged in that process, it can take 5 years, it could take a decade just to wait to begin that process of getting processed.
So, I mean, all right, already for starters, that's a lot less than 25. I'm still going to say that's quite a phenomenal amount. Is there, what's this source called again? Got my computer up here.
It's called Boundless Immigration. That is the length at which it takes for a green card claim to be processed once you start the process. However, it is the case that in many circumstances, it could take 5, 10, 15, 20 years to start the process because of the wait.
All right. I'm actually using this same source that you're using. All right.
Also, notice how he's like honed in on this one specific thing instead of like debating anything else ever. He didn't debate me on why mass amnesty is good. He didn't debate me on why he's a fan of mass deportation. And still, unto this point, he hasn't acknowledged the contradictory nature of mass amnesty compared to mass deportation, even though he was arguing that they weren't contradictory until he's able to describe the contradiction just literally in the meaning of the words mass and deportation, and now that's separate from amnesty.
So
I'm actually going to go ahead. I'm actually going to go ahead and put a red line there. I don't know why I'm even entertaining this. We could talk about this immediately after you acknowledge the contradictory nature of mass deportation and mass amnesty. I have no clue why I let you get away with that.
So, okay, you're telling me we actually found a debate topic and you want to refrain and go back on something.
Yeah, because you ran away from that. Yes, you ran away from that. You did run away from that. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say they're polar opposites. So I guess just kick me and talk to your next guest.
Okay, well, I gave you an argument that they were opposites because one necessitates the removal of the person from the country, and the other one necessitates the remainder of the person of the country.
Yeah.
Would you say that removing somebody from a country is the polar opposite of letting them stay in the country?
So you're deporting somebody, and we're offering a solution.
No, answer my question. Is removing somebody from the country the polar opposite of letting them stay in the country?
When you put the word like that, yeah, sure.
Okay, so that's why they're the polar opposite of one another.
So mass deportation is, like we already established 20 times, letting someone out of the country. And the action that we could do to correct that and allow our government, our people to benefit, and the person that is here illegally to benefit, it's more of a corrective action. I don't know why you're trying to make it a polar opposite. That's like saying...
Wait, you agreed that...
It's a solution to an issue.
You agreed that it was a polar opposite? You said that removing somebody from the country is a polar opposite of letting them stay. You agreed.
When you blatantly say it like that, sure, those could be opposites. If you walked up to somebody and blatantly said it, we're talking about a world issue here. There's no just opposite. It's a solution to a problem.
Okay, I'm confused on what you're saying because that is what I'm blatantly saying. That's a crux of why they're contradictory.
Yeah. So if someone walked up to my house and I either let them in or kick them out, yeah, those are opposites. Right. We're not talking about something so simple.
That's the difference between deporting somebody and letting them stay in the country.
Yeah, so you could, all right, you guys love to, oh my gosh. Okay, so there's mass deportation.
Right. Which is
the
removing
whole
people
topic
from the
of-
country, right?
Okay. And I'm going to say this 20th time. There's that path that they could take to stay here, or there's another path to go back to their country. So I'm trying to understand
that's
how
not
they're
mass
polar opposites if
deportation.
there's two solutions.
That's not mass deportation.
Yeah. So again, I thought we were talking about those being opposites. Now we're going to go back on this too, or pivoting again.
What you just said, like letting people stay in the country or giving them the option of like voluntary removal, that's not mass deportation.
So what are you saying? We just
I'm saying that what you just defined as mass deportation is not mass deportation, nor is it what Trump is doing.
Yeah, it's better than just allowing everybody to stay though and live off of others.
Okay, so you think that okay, so now that you've agreed that mass amnesty is different than mass deportation, I'm confused. Can you agree that these two things are different and contradictory or not?
Again, I'm going to tell you the same thing I've told you 20 times. It's a pathway. I think it should be an optional pathway.
You can't even tell me if you agree if they're different or not. This guy's just spamming words. Chat, should we just kick him for spamming words? Like, bro, I understand that you're lost in the sauce, but you're confusing the fuck out of me and everybody else watching because I'm just like, hey man, okay, like I'm gonna give you as well as everybody else listening just like a really cleaned up version of this conversation. I'm saying that removing somebody from the country, mass deportation, is the polar opposite of letting them stay in the country and become a citizen, mass amnesty. This guest is responding by saying, Dean, they're not polar opposites of one another. It's a pathway. Like even the response there, just denying that they're polar opposites and saying that they're a pathway, those are words that are like seemingly like meaningless to my claim. Like imagine that like you made a claim that like imagine it does have to be one or another. So the reason why it has to be one or the other, right, is because somebody either stays in the country or they don't stay in the country. That is a true binary 1 and 0. 1 or 0,
Yeah,
one or the other.
so-
They're removed or they stay.
Yeah, so they could be removed and put back to their country. They could be put in jail for crimes. They could have a pathway to stay in the country.
Sending undocumented immigrants to jail for the crimes, that's not deporting them. Allowing them to stay in the country, that's also not deporting them. So because like that's not mass deportation.
I'm just saying you're putting it out there that they're polar opposites, like up and down. And
Right. Removing
I just
somebody
don't
from the country
understand
and letting them stay in the country are two polar opposites.
that. Okay. You know what? So
But can you agree with that? I just want you to affirm or deny the following sentence, okay? Removing somebody from the country is the polar opposite from letting somebody stay in the country, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Mass deportation is removing undocumented immigrants from the country. Mass amnesty is allowing undocumented immigrants to stay in the country, right?
Okay. So
No, I don't want a so. I want a yes or no.
yeah, sure.
Okay, so you just affirmed it. You just affirmed it. We're going to listen back to the two propositions that you just affirmed to demonstrate how these two things are the polar opposite of one another. Let's go ahead and listen in.
you guys love to. Oh my gosh. Okay. So there's
Sending undocumented immigrants to jail for the crimes, that's not deporting them. Listen closely. Allowing them to stay in the country, that's also not deporting them. So because like that's not mass deportation.
I'm just saying you're putting it out there that they're polar opposites, like up and down. And
Right.
I
Removing
just
somebody
don't
from the country
understand
and letting them stay in the country are two polar opposites.
that. Okay. You know what? So
But can you agree with that? I just want you to affirm or deny the following sentence, okay? Removing somebody from the country is the polar opposite from letting somebody stay in the country, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Mass deportation is removing undocumented immigrants from the country. Mass amnesty is allowing undocumented immigrants to stay in the country, right?
Okay. So
No, I don't want a so. I want a yes or no.
yeah, sure.
Okay,
So,
so you just affirmed it. You just affirmed it. So after listening back to that, do you see how you affirm that they're the polar opposites of one another?
sure. So
Okay, so
again,
you just conceded it all. They are the polar opposites of one another. Thank you for the concession.
I'm honestly just trying to get away from the topic and go back.
So he wasn't even answering honestly. Okay. I kicked them. I kicked him. So, something to consider. My temples are balding. My hairline is receding. The crown on the back of my head is thinning. And it's because of guests like that. It's because of guests like that guy. Where people reduce themselves down to a chamber of horseshit. I'll debate these people and like logic, reason, their faculties of thought just like go out the window. They just like cease to exist. You know what I mean? Like humans are supposed to be smart, but by God, do humans just have the ability to turn that off?